My first question to you is about the current products. Now, I know that you are fairly up to date on the current product. You do watch a lot of the current product. You're familiar with a lot of the promotions, a lot of the names. But are there any promotions or wrestlers at the moment that are catching your eye, that particularly have your interest? And the second part of that question is, have you been able to catch any of the AEW Dynamite or NWA Power? So what are your thoughts on the current products and some of the newer shows that are out there at the moment, Gary?
Well, what I think is, if you're a wrestling fan today, there has to be a product out there for you. Anyone that says that puts all of wrestling under one big tent and says, it's not like it used to be, they're misinformed, they're ignorant, or they just want to get stuck in the past. I'm not one of these old guys who would say everything in the past was terrific and everything today, stinks. I mean, I have never said that, but today with the advent of NXT and AEW, I mean, it is amazing, all the different products that you have. I mean, if you're a Raw, SmackDown kind of person who likes sometimes illogical, silly skits in between real good wrestling, there you go. If you, and it gives you the big feel. What Vinny's going for there is a festival feel. In the past, you'd buy your ticket, you'd take your seat, you'd watch what was going on in the ring, and you individually would respond emotionally to it. Today, that's not allowed. That's not allowed. Everybody has to chant the same thing. To me, that makes it less interesting as a fan. I think it would make it less interesting as a performer, that everyone is programmed to say the same thing, to make the same gesture. It's a festival concert kind of feel. Yeah. But some people like that. So you've got that. Now AEW comes along, and there's a bit of a learning curve. I've been learning who Darby Allin is. And in fact, I didn't even know who, I shouldn't admit this, but I didn't even know who Shawn Spears was from WWE, because there was a chunk of time when I didn't watch WWE. And I guess he was there at the time.
He wasn't used very well or very much on our TV, so even people might not have been too familiar with his character on WWE, to be honest with you. But he's getting a better push and a better rub of things on AEW by the looks of things. But yeah, he's an interesting character, one to watch.
So if you're interested in it's a little bit less conventional. If you're into flyers, if it doesn't bother you that the competitors are an average of 175 pounds. If you want to educate yourself and find out who these folks are, there you go. You have that product. Now, if you're really old school these days, you have NWA Power.
Well, there you go. Yeah, that's been a revelation on YouTube and on their Facebook channel. I've seen both episodes. I've been very impressed, and it kind of takes you back to the studio show days, probably when the smaller promotions, the territory era was in full swing, and a lot of their shows were studio shows. So do you get that same sort of vibe?
Yes, absolutely. And if I was starting a promotion today, AEW is a bit different because it's owned by a billionaire. So, with network connections. So it's amazing how they entered the game and became number 2. I mean, it's just amazing. They didn't have to work their way up. They've only been on broadcasting for 3 weeks with their series. Correct. And their product appears, and it is as technically, will technically wow you as SmackDown and Raw does.
Yeah, the presentation is great.
But if I was on a limited budget, which most folks are, I would never try to emulate what WWE does. I would provide an alternative, because other than the billionaire with network connections, no one can approach that. I go to indie shows from time to time, and everybody is trying to do their cheap version of WWE. I would never do it. You would never see an entrance way with lights and some tinsel hanging that a guy stumbles through. It would never happen. You know, for instance, I would make the railings really narrow. I would, you have to play music these days. So that's, you know, the music would be okay. I would probably just darken the arena and have spotlights and spotlight the guy coming to the ring as he's surrounded, engulfed by wrestling fans.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you've ever seen the old school Madison Square Garden.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, the Vince Sr. thing, you know, it was a small rampway with, I would have put a security guard on either side of the guy or gal, and I wouldn't try to pretend that I was WWE. It's just silly. It's just silly. So NWA Power takes an entirely different route, and they've been really successful. And in their first, I guess, two weeks or so,
correct.
And you know, it's great. It's fun to watch. Not to mention New Japan, Ring of Honor, Impact, MLW. If you can't find something in that array of products, then you know, I'm sorry, but you lost.
Might as well not be a wrestling fan.